I'm 79 years old, and I've been thinking a lot about how full my days used to be and how empty they feel now. Not empty in a dramatic way, just quiet, like a room after everyone has left and the chairs are still warm. I'm not telling this because I want sympathy. At my age, sympathy doesn't change much. I'm telling it because time has narrowed, and when that happens, certain truths get louder. This is one of them. I spent my life being busy, and I missed what mattered most. These days my mornings start early, even when I don't want them to. My body wakes before my mind does. I sit at the small kitchen table with a cup of coffee that goes cold more often than not. I look out the window and try to remember when this house felt alive. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. There are pictures on the wall, old ones, birthdays, holidays, faces that used to talk back to me. I used to think those pictures meant I had lived a full life. Now I'm not so sure. They feel more like proof that time passed, whether I was paying attention or not. I know how this sounds, like the kind of thing old people say, and maybe it is. But when you're young, you don't feel time. You measure life in weeks, paychecks, deadlines. You don't measure it in last conversations. When I was younger, being busy felt like being important. If my days were full, I told myself I was doing something right. I had responsibilities, a job, people who depended on me, or at least that's what I believed. I didn't wake up one day and decide to ignore my life. It didn't happen like that. It happened quietly, one choice at a time, one postponed dinner, one missed weekend, one promise of soon. In my 20s, I worked long hours and didn't question it. Everyone around me did the same. That was adulthood. You showed up, you worked hard, you earned your place. I thought presence meant provision. If I was working, I was caring. If I was tired, it meant I was doing my duty. In my 30s, the pace picked up. More responsibility, more pressure. Promotions felt like validation. Compliments from bosses mattered more than conversations at home. I told myself this was temporary, just a busy season. Things would slow down later. Later never came. There were evenings when I walked through the front door and felt like a guest in my own house. The TV would be on, someone would ask how my day was, and I'd answer without really listening to the response. My mind was already on tomorrow. I missed small things first. School events I assumed weren't important, dinners I skipped because I was too tired to talk, phone calls I told myself I'd return when things calmed down. They didn't calm down. I remember my children learning to stop asking if I'd be there. That's a quiet moment when it happens. There's no argument, no confrontation, just acceptance, and I didn't notice it at the time. I told myself I was building something for them. Security, stability, a better future. That was my justification. It sounded responsible, noble even, but the truth is, I didn't know how to slow down. I didn't know how to sit still and be present without feeling useless. Being busy gave me an excuse not to feel things, not to ask hard questions, not to notice how distance grows when it's ignored. In my 40s, cracks started showing, not dramatic ones, just a sense that conversations were shorter, that laughter didn't last as long, that people shared less with me. I assumed it was normal. Everyone grows apart, I thought, that's just life. I was wrong. There were moments when I could have chosen differently. I can see them clearly now. An afternoon I could have taken off. A weekend trip I declined. A conversation I rushed through because I had emails to answer. At the time, none of those choices felt permanent. That's the danger. They felt small, reasonable, harmless. Regret doesn't arrive all at once. It builds like dust. You don't see it until the light hits it just right. The turning point didn't come with fireworks. It came with a phone call. Someone I loved was sick, not suddenly but seriously, the kind of illness that changes the shape of your days. I told myself I'd visit soon, after this project, after things settled down. They didn't settle down. By the time I got there, the room was quiet in a way that felt final. Words I thought I had time to say stayed in my chest. Apologies, gratitude, simple things. They didn't matter anymore because the person who needed to hear them was gone. That was the moment something broke open in me, not loudly, just enough to let the truth in. I had been present everywhere except where it counted. I wish I could say I changed overnight. I didn't. Habits don't loosen their grip easily, but something had shifted, a kind of awareness I couldn't shake. Still, awareness doesn't undo damage. By the time I slowed down, some relationships were already thin, not angry, just distant, like paths that hadn't been walked in years. Now, at this age, I understand something I didn't before. People don't drift away because they don't care. They drift because they learn not to expect you. There are things I can't fix. I can't go back and sit at those dinner tables. I can't hear the stories that were never told to me. I can't be remembered the way I wish I were. Some people know me as someone who worked hard. Very few know me as someone who was there. That realization is heavy, heavier than any workload I ever carried. Loneliness in old age isn't always about being alone. It's about realizing how many chances you had to build closeness and didn't take them. I still have moments of gratitude. I'm not bitter. I had opportunities. I had health. I had years many people don't get. But gratitude doesn't erase regret. They sit side by side. Sometimes I wonder who I would be if I had learned earlier that being needed isn't the same as being loved, that productivity isn't the same as connection. I speak to you now because I don't have much else to give. I can't offer solutions. I can't promise outcomes. All I have is the truth of a life lived mostly looking ahead instead of around. If you're busy right now, I understand. I really do. Life pulls hard. Expectations pile up. The world rewards exhaustion. Just know this, the moments that feel interruptive now are the ones that echo later. The conversation you almost skip. The person you mean to call back. The silence you could sit in instead of filling. I thought there would always be more time. That was my biggest mistake. There is. What remains for me now is acceptance. Not peace exactly, just a quiet knowing. I wake up, I make my coffee, I sit with my memories. Some are warm, some ache. I'm still here, that counts for something. But if I'm remembered at all, I hope it's not just for how busy I was. If this meant something to you, sit with it. You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just notice where your time goes. It disappears faster than you think. As for me, I'll finish this cup of coffee. I'll watch the light move across the floor, and I'll carry this truth with me for whatever time I have left. Like and subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.